Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. In this video, I'm going to be interviewing Brie Arthur and then doing a tour of her yard. You may know her. She's the author of the Foodscape Revolution, and her newest book is called Gardening with Grains. I've looked forward to meeting her for a long time. We've crossed paths, like she'll be at a place and then I won't, just whatever. And we managed to meet a couple weeks ago, so I was excited to do that. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm a plant nerd originally from Michigan and relocated to Zone 7 and love gardening here. And my goal is just to get everybody excited about gardening and growing more plants.
I think you do a good job of that. You bring a lot of energy to what we do.
Well, thanks.
And I enjoy watching your content. Look forward to reading your books. I got her books to take home with me. But I'm going to do a walk around of this yard. Make sure you follow Brie on her YouTube channel and her other and Instagram. She does a great job on Instagram, and I think you'll be very interested in how she integrates food into the landscape. So let's get started. Okay. So I'm going to start out here by the road. There's some pink mully grass that, of course, is dormant now and still beautiful in the winter time. There's a dwarf crepe myrtle there. There's ground cover phlox that will be blooming pretty soon. Kind of surprised. Well, there is a couple flowers open on it already. I'll swing you around. You can see this front yard, and you can see how she integrates the food into the landscape. This is actually wheat here. This is my shadow, but there's wheat running through this center, and I'll show you some other items like this. When the soil temperature warms up in the spring, it'll be quite beautiful. It'll take off pretty quick, and it contrasts really nice with this dormant Bermuda grass, this warm season grass that we have here in the south that looks like this in the winter time. Right here's a beautiful live oak that this is about as far north as a live oak will grow. And there's a bird sitting up in that one right there, jay of some kind. It's a really beautiful specimen of one. There's another one right over here. And those of you in the north who haven't seen evergreen oaks, that is a live oak. Nice crepe myrtle here. Of course, I'm shooting this in January, so a lot of this deciduous stuff is obviously dormant right now, despite it having been so warm. There's a rose here. A lot of really nice art pieces in this garden, and I've got to do a better job of that in my own garden. There's a really nice prunus over here. This dark pink, almost red. Flowering cherry there. It's really quite beautiful. This is an upright, narrow oak right here. I have to ask her what variety that is. It's really quite beautiful. And I'll spin back around here. There's that other live oak. And then this weeping Prunus mume here. This one's called Bridal Veil. There's one at the Arboretum in Raleigh, J.C. Ralston Arboretum that's gigantic. Really beautiful tree. One of the first things that blooms every year. I'm going to do a video on Prunus mume coming out that's they're just amazing to me. Beautiful, super fragrant. Panning across the front of the house, you can see these, I'll get over here in just a minute, but you can see these palms, these windmill palms here. There's another Prunus mume here. She actually calls Lost Label. But this is a beautiful one. I've missed it in peak flower. It's kind of past that point, but really a beautiful, great structure on this one. So here's a border along the driveway here, and there's a beautiful crepe myrtle here. I love the bark in the wintertime on crepe myrtles. Some Shasta daisies coming up here. She grows garlic along this border to deter animals and voles and that kind of thing, to keep them out. There's some you'll see just all over the place. I see things like strawberries here, and you'll see edibles just blended in to this garden all over the place. There's a forsythia here that's there's a really upright variety right there. Going further down where we started this video, there's a winter jasmine blooming right there, and she's got an osmanthus behind it, and this is actually one of the orange varieties. It's not blooming now. It'll bloom toward the end of winter. What an amazing, that's an amazing specimen right there. There's a yew here, and this one's a variegated one, but you can't see the variegation on it until it flushes in the spring. And she uses these bottle walls. You'll see more of them in a minute. There's a pitcher plant in that container right there. Really super interesting. Totally cold hardy out here in January in an elevated pot. There's a camellia back here blooming right behind here on the side of the house. And again, I believe these are oats up here in the front of the house. And there's some hydrangea paniculata right here that's obviously dormant. Here's another example of the strawberries being used as ground cover. My shadow everywhere in this video. There's some gaillardia that's still blooming. This definitely shouldn't be blooming in January. And then lots of strawberries in here. I'll head around this space right here. This cryptomeria right here is called Elegans Nana. This is one I used to grow. I really like this plant. It's soft to the touch too. Beautiful. There's yews on the right hand side of this entryway right here. Here's those palms that I showed you from a distance there. Really quite beautiful. I'll come back around here. There's a weeping deodar cedar right here called Feeling Blue. This is a beautiful, beautiful tree. Let me back out so you can really get a look at this weeping deodar cedar. And then this is a barley planted in this bed right here, which again, when the soil temperatures come up in the spring, these will take off and be quite beautiful. I'm going to move across here. There's an arborvitae, this is gold arborvitae of some kind, right there in front of me with that yellow foliage. Another hydrangea paniculata right there. There's an osmanthus of some kind right here, this narrow one right there. It's one of those things where you go to a store to buy, and you're looking for osmanthus, and they're literally, I don't know, there's a lot of varieties, and unfortunately not a lot of them in the trade. Again, you'll see this food integrated throughout the landscape. Kale right there, and got a cat on the tour with me right here. Here's another look at this bridal veil Prunus mume here. I've missed the full flower on these, I'm totally open, but man, they're super fragrant, just beautiful. One of the first signs of spring every year. Coming around this side, I haven't been around here yet. There's a cryptomeria right here, an upright narrow one. I don't know if that's Yoshino. I don't know what variety that is. It might be maybe black dragon. I don't know. That's probably Yoshino back there behind it, right there actually. So what I'm finding out here is there's a very large collection of osmanthus varieties here. Here's another one here, and they are definitely amongst my favorite plants and for blooming in the, they bloom on temperature change really. They'll bloom in the fall and then they can repeat bloom frequently. Some varieties do, some varieties don't. In the late winter, early spring, and it's just like a sign of spring or a sign of cold, one or the other. Here's an upright, narrow variety here. You see the different texture in the foliage on these different varieties, and they're very holly-like, but they are not hollies. Here's a gardenia back here with a very large foliage. This is a big double white flowering variety. Of course, it's hit, in a perfect spot for that, right up against the foundation. There's a camellia back here. What'd you say this one was called?
October Affair.
October Affair is this variety with that white in the center and the pink around the edge right there. There's a mahonia here that's kind of similar to soft caress, where it's just softer to the touch. Another beautiful camellia japonica right here that is smart enough to have not started opening yet, like the ones everywhere. There's a fir growing here. So she is actually from Michigan and has brought a piece of Michigan here to central North Carolina. This is a really beautiful fir. I think you don't often see them look like this, but this would be a perfect Christmas tree right here. There's a very confused distilleum next to it that's blooming in January. That's a beautiful specimen as well. And then moving along, all the hellebores down here have started blooming already in mid-January. Here's a carex, one of my favorites for bringing color to the shade garden, and another camellia japonica right there that's just absolutely budded to bear. Try not to step on anything, but you can see all the flower buds on it. They'll start opening pretty soon. I would imagine it's getting colder right now again, and so I'd imagine that'll slow them down. And then next time, though, those are big enough that the next time they're going to open up pretty quickly. Here's a variegated osmanthus right here. Look how beautiful that is. These variegated ones can take years to bloom. This one's probably big enough now that it does flower, but you won't think they don't flower for a long time. And I'm going to work my way back here into the backyard. She has quite the collection of Prunus mumes. Here's another one here. Going back here, there's another one blooming right there. There's another one blooming across the yard that I'll get to in a minute. I think there's 5 or 6 varieties in this yard. Really beautiful. Here's a coral bark maple right here. It has that beautiful orange coloration on the stems. If I come down, there's an Edgeworthia, and right there that's about to open up. We've got a hydrangea paniculata here. These are actually radishes that are planted into this area, and what a beautiful cover crop, really, in the wintertime, whether you eat them or not, or eat the foliage or the radish. It's just still beautiful in the wintertime to have this color. There's a forsythia here. I think she said this is Coombson, which is a variegated variety. Moving across, she's done a lot of these grains this year in these containers, and of course the containers warm up a little quicker, so they're growing a little more. I'll come back and show you this in the late winter, early spring, when these things really take off. They're quite beautiful, and super easy to grow. There's an evergreen clematis right here. Really beautiful in the wintertime. I love the foliage on evergreen clematis. Lots and lots of blueberries. We're going to really see quite a bit more edibles as I move further back here. Here's another upright narrow oak called Crimson Spire. It's really beautiful. I've got a ton of photos of upright narrow trees and pieces of video like this that I need to put together in a video. This is another perfect tree for a small yard. This space back here has beautiful blueberries growing in it, and a mixture of strawberries and other edibles. Beautiful seating area here. Again, these grains growing in these containers, which are ahead of the ones in the ground because the container, of course, heats up in the sunlight more. And really beautiful crop of broccoli. And some cabbages back there, it looks like. There's several figs planted in this area, and that Prunus mume blooming over the top of it there. And there's actually a redwood right here, which I have never tried to grow an evergreen redwood here, but it's a really beautiful tree. And this nice shade planting house, propagation house here as well. And just such a nice space all around. Here's a red bud here. What red bud is this? Is it flamethrower? Okay, yeah, I'm going over to Jackson Nursery in a few weeks, and I'm going to show these off. But this is that flamethrower red bud, which doesn't look like much now, but this is a really beautiful tree. This tree right here is going to be in a lot of yards in the next 10 years. Trust me on that. Now, like I say, I'm going to go over to Jackson Nursery in a few weeks as these are leafing out, and show you their red bud collection, which includes this one. Again, really nice space. Here's some grains growing in fabric bags here. You've seen me use these fabric bags to grow several things. In this lower section here, we've got several beautiful rosemary. And of course, I showed this the other day on Instagram. They're blooming in January, which is pretty unusual. This variegated holly back here is a variegated Nellie Stevens holly. There's a hydrangea paniculata here. I'm sure it's beautiful in the summertime. There's actually some gold Leyland cypress that she uses cut pieces out of for decorating and that kind of thing. But you can see the gold tips on these Leylands here. I'm on the south border of this property line here, and originally this had like 40-foot tall Leylands that came down in a hurricane, and it actually been planted with a lot of shade-loving things. Of course, things can change on you over time. You can quickly have to go from shady spaces to sunny spaces without any warning, really, with storms, especially in the southeast like we have. A little upright, narrow cryptomeria variety back there. This is a Poncirus flying dragon. This is actually a variegated one when it has its leaves, and I don't know that I've shown Poncirus on the channel. This is one I used to collect a lot of seed for and grow at my nursery, and I like to grow some unusual things. But it's basically a contorted Osage orange is the kind of common name for that. There's a boxleaf euonymus here, which always look great in a winter garden. Right there, there's a Edgeworthia here, a paper bush, and this one's starting to open up right there. And she uses these bottle walls are just beautiful for this path. And again, there's another boxleaf euonymus there, and another Mahonia, another kind of soft to the touch Mahonia right there. There's another cryptomeria right here that she actually named, called Champagne, and it's a variegated one that you can see. You know, a lot of times in the winter time, these variegated plants don't necessarily show off their colors, but this is a really nice little path on this side over here. So like I had said a few times going into this winter, I definitely wanted to show you winter interest gardens, and I think this is a great example of that. It's just got this great mix of deciduous plants and evergreen plants and winter flowering plants and fragrant plants, and it's going to have something going on year round, and Brie does such a great job of integrating food into just empty space. You know, you don't have to have a vegetable garden, a designated vegetable garden. You can actually just plug edible plants and edible things into your landscape and just integrate them, because a lot of these things actually are very attractive, as well as our ornamental plants. So thank you very much for watching this video.